Hello folks, this is Alan recording another Magic the Gathering Arena comprehensive draft video. Today we're going to make a special draft. We're going to do a special draft that is we never recorded. I've never recorded a best out of the three traditional draft before. And I feel that format is a lot more comprehensive, a lot more insightful, and the way that ranked drafts should actually work on Magic the Gathering Arena over the best out of one, where you only have at least 3 chances to win. I feel that, traditional draft is just the way to go, and we got a free draft entry, and gotta keep in mind that sideboards also matters, so let's get going. Alright, pack one, pick one. What is a rare? Pretty busted card. Feasting Troll King comes into the battlefield with basically 3 food tokens, and whenever you sacrifice 3 tokens, you can simply return Feasting Troll King from your graveyard to the battlefield at instant speed only during our turn. So definitely a very powerful card. I can see this being played in almost any green deck, but much more preferably in green-black, since you tend to generate lots of foods. Therefore, the foods that Feasting Troll King makes can synergize with some of your food payoff cards, as well as the foods that you generate, which can kind of enable Feasting Troll King to come back. Feasting Troll King can only get removed, quote unquote, with enchantment-based removal spells like Trapped in the Tower, and Charm Sleep. So we have to keep in mind that if this is going to be our first pick, we have to kind of make sure that we have a Return to Nature in our sideboard, just in case to deal with those enchantments, in case Feasting Troll Kings does get answered. But a 7 power, 6 toughness, vigilance trampler is definitely no joke. What does require us to be heavy green, of course, so we can kind of cast this on turn 6. With 4 green available, and green typically has cards like Rosedorn Acolyte that can fix for us. And it shouldn't be too difficult getting there at around turn 6, implying that you don't miss any land drops, of course. So definitely a powerful first pick. Looking at the uncommons, Circara is also a powerful first pick. Not the same power level as Feasting Troll King, but it's still a great card. 5 mana, 3/3 Knight. You can constantly use a tap ability to ping down small targets with 1 toughness, and there tends to be not too many good removal in this set that deals with creatures with 1 toughness. You don't really want to use a premium removal spell like Reef Soul or Bacon to a Pie on the Ginger Brute, for example, and Circara can basically tap itself and deal with those pesky 1 toughness creatures. That being said, the ability is really nice. The passive ability is very nice, since whenever Circara just deals damage to the opponent, or if you use an instant or sorcery spell and you deal face damage to the opponent, you basically exile the top of your card, so you basically get an extra card to draw off the top. That being said, it's not the most amazing to use the tap ability on the opponent's face on the opponent's turn, of course, since you don't really want to exile the top card and not end up playing it. But it's still definitely a reasonable way to kind of ping the opponent and kind of lower the health over time if you have to. But definitely a solid first pick and a great card too. There's also Arcanist Owl, which is excellent. It does require you to be 2 colors right away, or a heavy commitment towards a single color. When it enters the battlefield, it's basically already a nice 2-for-1. If you can grab an artifact or enchantment card, and then it comes in as a 3/3 flyer, which is really relevant and powerful. So definitely a great card. I don't know if I'd first pick it over the first 2 options, since these kind of just want us to be in single color. Feasting Troll King a lot more heavily, but I can definitely see it playing in a secondary color, as long as we have enough more mana fixing. Looking at the commons, the only ones which stand out is Bacon to the Pie as an excellent efficient removal spell. I consider this the second best removal spell in the set, the first one being Epic Downfall, since Epic Downfall actually exiles the creature and it also costs a little bit less. But the instant speed in this card is definitely incredibly powerful as well. The fact that it generates a food token is incredibly great for life gain and other synergies. Definitely a powerful card. So really, the only 4 cards that we would consider are these 4 cards in the pack. I don't want to take Arcanist out again because it's kind of narrow and commits us to 2 cards right away. So it leaves us with these 3. Between Circara and Bake into a Pie, it is close. I think they're relatively close in power level. Circara, if it's able to survive, you can just constantly gain more value in the long run by drawing extra cards, which might have a little bit more upside over Bacon Pie, but of course Bacon Pie is just efficient removal that answers any threat instantly, and sometimes your opponent can just play big bombs and you just need a way to deal with them ASAP. Um, so between these 2, it would be a pretty hard decision to take in the pack 1, pick 1. I'm more of a fan of value generators, and I think value generators in the long run have a lot more upside than taking a removal spell that you can otherwise get in like another color. So I mean, I'd probably choose Torquera, but no way in hell do any of these 3 other picks compare to Feasting Choking. Again, this card just busted. You maximize the potential in black-green, but I can see being great in any other green deck as long as we kind of have enough mana fixing like these Rosethorn Acolytes to kind of enable us to have at least 4 green to cast this. So you really want to play this in a much more mid-rangier green deck, like green-black and green-blue, but not to say that it's impossible to play in red-green or in green-white if you want to play more mid-range variant, but it's definitely going to excel mostly in the mid-range variant of the green cards, and don't mind first picking it, and then we can kind of focus on the green color. There's a possibility that we could abandon the bomb too in case green is not open, and that does happen in draft usually, but we have a high incentive to stick with green as our first pick, so happy that we saw this card. Right, after Feasting Troll King, what do we have? Well, Trail of Crumbs is a pretty powerful uncommon that plays well with Feasting Troll King. The fact that it comes in with a food token is great, and whenever you sacrifice a food with any other ability, even the ability to gain life, or with like a card like Mereleaf Rider, for example, all you need to do is pay 1 mana, and then you can look at the top 2 cards and put 1 in your hand. So it's an extra way to gain value and draw more cards. Seems like an excellent follow-up to Feasting Troll King. When you look at this card, Trail of Crumbs, it does want you to play in preferably black green. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit hard to get the maximized potential with the food generation in this set. So really, when you're looking at Trail of Crumbs, you're thinking black green, and it seems like a great follow-up to Feasting Troll King. Oaken Ranger is definitely excellent too. But green-white is, again, a much more aggressive gold-white archetype, where you aren't looking to play a mid-range variant unless you have the Fable Elders or some ways to ramp out those big green creatures. It's still probably feasible with the Feasting Troll King, but it's not going to be at its best. White-green is, again, looking to play lots of adventure creatures, lots of humans. You're looking to play cards like Edgewall Innkeeper, Arnvale Tacticians, etc., and just Mysterious Pathlighter, which are kind of like the cards that really excel well in a white-green deck. You're looking to be kind of fast, aggressive, and you're looking to flood the board with lots of small creatures. And in that case, Feasting Troll King is much more slower and clunky. Otherwise, a good uncommon if you want to go that route. There's also Flutterfox, which is a good white common, one of my favorite ones. The fact that it gains flying might even be better than the Youthful Knight with First Strike. But again, I think if I'm leaning towards green-white, I'd pick up the Okame over my first Flutterfox, just because I think this is a powerful card. You tap this for free, and you can get a nice Anthem effect. And then the sorcery ability is also pretty decent, which can kind of create those 1/1 tokens right away to chump block or allow your deck to go even wider. Looking at the commons, then there's Reef Soul, which is excellent, which would put us in black-green, but if I'm moving to black-green, I think Trail of Crumbs have a lot more upside than the Reef Soul. Reef Soul is definitely excellent, and if Trail of Crumbs was in this pack, I would definitely give this a consideration. That being said, I'm a big fan of value generators in Limited. I think the value of getting extra cards is definitely a lot higher than a single target removal spell. But Resoul is definitely great. There's also Searing Barrage, which is excellent as an expansive removal spell. Um, even without Adamant, this could be really nice at instant speed. If it was sorcery speed, it'd be a lot worse, like the Reduce to Ashes in M20, but the fact that this is instant speed is also nice. The fact that this is Adamant to deal 3 damage to the opponent's face is really nice. Red's looking to be more low to the ground and aggressive in the set again, so you're looking to play lots of very small creatures, maybe go 16 lands and then use Searing Barrage as your curve topper. In that case, Feasting Choking might still be okay in red-green if you're a lot more mid-rangey, but really, again, you really want to play this in a much more slower green deck due to its high expensive cost and basically, yeah, due to its high expensive cost and the fact that you need 4 green to play this, so it does need to take a little bit of work with the mana. Therefore, you want cards like Rosethorn Acolyte in your deck, and Rosethorn Acolyte is not the most aggressively slanted creature, so it makes more sense to kind of decide between just choose to be black green over here with the Trail of Crumbs. Because black green is again trying to be a lot more mid-rangey, and yeah, this is definitely a powerful card, and yeah, seems to make sense with our first pick, so we'll take it here. Alright, well, some more excellent cards. Looks like the bots are drunk, or something's happening to the AI. Bognati is an excellent uncommon for the black-green deck, which we're already gearing up to be. It's not only an evasive flyer at 5 mana, but it also has a built-in removal spell. Simply sacrificing a food and giving a creature -3/-3 is already powerful, and we definitely have 2 cards already that generates food, so we're definitely gearing up to be that heavy foods deck. Keeper Fables is excellent, doesn't require too much work. Like the Bognati, doesn't really commit us to a color pair all that often. It's just a great card by itself. Whenever a non-human creature just deals combat damage to a player, you simply draw a card, so you can kind of enable Gingerbrute unblockable, or if you have some decent flyers in the air, you can kind of get this off. But either way, like a 4/5 body is really decent, and it's a pretty decent attacker for it by itself. So usually it can get an attack. The opponent might have a difficult time blocking this, and they might have to let this swing just to enable the card draw. So Keeper Fables is definitely powerful. Covetous Urge is powerful, but it doesn't really fit well with our first 2 picks. A lot more slow. It's a slow card, but it's a really great 2-for-1, since not only can you steal a card from your opponent's hand, but from their library as well, from the graveyard, and then you can just cast it. If you manage to kill a bomb, Planeswalker, you can steal it and use it for yourself. Definitely a powerful card. Ardenvale Tactician is a great common, one of my favorites. But again, it would lead us into the green-white adventure deck, which would make sense if we're in that archetype, same with the Fairy Godmother. I really think the 2 choices here are between Bognati and Keeper of Fables. Keeper of Fables would give us a little bit more flexibility, I guess, if we do end up in blue-green and black isn't as open. I really don't see myself playing red-green with Keeper of Fables and Feasting Troll King, or green-white with Feasting Troll King and Keeper of Fables, since again they're bigger curve toppers that require a lot more slower deck with a lot more ramp. Meanwhile, red, green, and white, green is looking to be a lot more fast and aggressive for the most part. But blue, green, and black, green are looking to be a lot more slower and mid-rangey. So Keeper Fable keeps us flexible a little bit with blue, green. However, Trail of Crumbs doesn't work too well in blue, green, since you don't really care too much about food that often unless you have something like Oko. But that is if you open up an Oko, and that's a pretty rare mythic. Most of the blue-green signpost cards are just looking for you to play a mid-rangey green ramp deck with lots of big giant creatures. Cards like Marrowleaf Pixie Help and cards like Thunderous Snapper kind of give a great indication of what green-blue does. But that being said, Bognati seems to fit the bill with Trail of Crumbs and Feasting Troll King. I think this card is a lot more powerful than Keeper of Fables if you can basically make a highly synergistic black-green food stack. It's less powerful than Keeper, and it's less flexible than Keeper if you don't have the food synergies going on. But with the food synergies going on, it's definitely a quite busted card. It is definitely a lot more of a narrow option to take the Bognati and a pretty high commitment, while Keeper of Fable is still excellent in green-black and keeps us flexible. But I think the higher risk, higher upside with Bognati is worth it, since it just synergizes so well with our first pick Trail of Crumbs and Feasting Choking. Keeper of Fables will also be excellent again, but and we could still end up in black-green, and it is a lot less riskier, of course, but Bognati just has a higher payoff. It's a built-in removal body and a flying creature. It's definitely a solid inclusion in our deck. Don't mind just kind of forcing black-green right away with our first two. I mean, our first two picks are already kind of forcing us into black-green foods, and I don't mind just kind of forcing it even more with Bognati, since we have a potential to make a truly busted green-black foods deck. That being said, like, let's just say we don't get any more food synergies, then the Keeper of Fables would have been past them, and that would have been a pretty bad miss. But otherwise, given these first three picks, we can, sometimes in the draft, you can just kind of force the food archetype and just cut everyone off from it, and therefore it's, if you pick up a Bognati early, people might not be moving to the colors and they'll debate about something else. So, yeah, don't mind taking the Bognati, just forcing a broken black-green busted food stack. But Keeper of Fable is definitely powerful, excellent, and close. But Bognati just seems to make sense with our first two picks, so we'll snatch it up. And did we get rewarded? Yes, we did. Wow, I think the bots are truly drunk. This is like the best draft I've done so far. Looking at the uncommons, Falmer Knight is excellent, just as a great value engine. Just simply, if you cast this for 3 mana in the late game, this card replaces itself, and then it puts a 1/1 Death Touch body, which makes it quite annoying for opponents to attack pass unless they have Trample. Since this can trade off, this can prevent like a big creature from attacking you. Definitely great. Well, Sir Conrad is also one of the great uncommons in this set too. It can basically win the game by itself if it goes unanswered. It's close to Ayara in power level, but definitely a lot more flexible since it doesn't require you to only play a mono black deck, and it can go well with any 2-color combinations. It's pretty easy to trigger this whenever, it already has a nice built-in mana sink in the late game where you can just mill the top card of every library and then deal damage to the opponent. It makes it pretty scary for the opponent to attack or block, since if cards just get traded off, this can trigger a bunch of times. It plays well with recursion spells such as this Once in Future, which is also excellent, and cards like Forever Young, which is also in this pack. So definitely a high power level card, a great first pick, and it's still in this pack, so bots are totally drunk. Once in Future would also be excellent. I think this card's great even without the Adamant, but of course the Adamant has a higher upside, so you don't end up missing a draw step. But either way, like, let's just say you don't get this with Adamant, and then you place a card that you want to draw the next turn on top, that's still very good. And the fact that this can get any card from your graveyard to the battlefield is nice, so it's great with removal spells like Bake Into the Pie, Reef Soul, and even cards like Sir Comrade. So definitely a powerful card. But that being said, our first 3 picks, we didn't really pick up any removal spells yet, but I wouldn't mind taking this in the long run. Other good commons, Tempting Witch is fine, Forever Young, Sporecat Spider. So I think it's just between these 3. In the highest power level is obviously Sir Comrade. Looking at our curve, I wouldn't mind another 5-drop in the meantime. Like, our curve toppers will look pretty high, so we will have to focus on the early game. But all these three cards would be pretty difficult to decide towards if Sir Conrad wasn't in this pack. I mean, our way Once in Future for Falmer Knight would be pretty hard to kind of, just debate over, since they're both kind of close. Falmer Knight is definitely excellent if you can constantly recur this and draw cards off of this. Once in Future can again get back those removal spells. But Sir Conrad is definitely an excellent pickup here, and it definitely synergizes well with Forever Young if we pick up later in the packs, since if you manage to have Sir Conrad on the board and you cast Forever Young, you can just bring a bunch of cards back from the graveyard, and Sir Conrad will deal a bunch of damage to him. So yeah, I think the most powerful card, Sir Conrad, it just wins games by itself. If it goes unanswered, just a really powerful mana sink ability in the late game. Doesn't ask much, just activate the ability and trade cards, and you usually get there. Definitely a great inclusion for our first start to draft. But these 2 other cards will be excellent, but black-green it is. Right, looking at this pack, not too exciting, but we have some decent cards. There's a Reaper of Night, which I wouldn't mind as a nice play on turn 4 to kind of mill the opponent, and an excellent curve topper at 7 mana. That being said, our curve is looking incredibly high right now. I don't know if we want to make it even higher unless we get more Rosethorn Acolytes. We have 2 5-drops and a 6-drop already, so the late game is looking kind of settled, and we can pretty much win the game without Reaper Knights, with cards like Bognati, Sir Comrade, and Feasting Troll King. But I wouldn't mind one if it's like the last pick in a pack, and I just need like a solid black card in this black-green deck. That being said, I wouldn't mind a Scalding Cauldron as well, just as a cheap interactive removal spell. 4 mana, deal 3 damage to a target creature. Instant speed isn't so bad in this set. Usually you can deal with a pesky flyer, or just another annoying 3 toughness creature that's in the way, and Scalding Cauldron just gets it done. Not the best removal spell, but it's definitely feasible. We're also playing sideboarded games, so Fell the Pheasant I wouldn't mind as well. But I think if we're going to start with a draft, we kind of have to solidify it first. So we got to take the cards that are much more main deckable. So I think I like the Cauldron here, but I wouldn't mind Reaper or Fell the Pheasant for the sideboard. Just to kind of have some early interaction in case we don't pick up any more in the drafts later. So we'll take it. Alright, and looking at this pack, some pretty solid cards for us too. Sorcerer's Broom, even though it looks a bit of a joke in as a 2-drop, it definitely can be pretty good in a black-green deck, especially in the late game. If you manage to sacrifice a single food in the late game and you have you are kind of flooding out, you can basically just duplicate the broom and then constantly keep duplicating the broom again to kind of make a wide board in the late game. Even then, it's a 2-drop that can trade off in the early game, which I think is pretty decent. What I'm about to say, yeah, so don't underestimate this card. Black-green is looking to be more grindier and mid-ranger and slower, so it's not looking to be hyper-aggressive. So usually, like, in the black-green deck, you want lots of mana sinks and things to do if you end up flooding out. And Sorcerer's Broom is definitely excellent in the black-green foods deck, and it definitely has a lot more higher potential to basically build a huge army in the late game to kind of defend, block, and maybe even swarm the opponent. That being said, I wouldn't mind a Tempting Witch as a fine way to generate food and a decent blocker. Also a nice ability in the late game to kind of drain the opponent out if you have some infinite food generators. Same with Golden Egg and Sporecast Spire. But I think the highest upside is Sorcerer's Broom, so we're definitely building the most truly busted black-green deck. I don't know what the bots are smoking. Hopefully the opponents I face don't do the same thing, which I can't really guarantee, but yep, gotta take the broom. Alright, here it's not too amazing. I probably don't need a Tree Folk. It's a fine 6-drop if you don't have any other good late game curve toppers, but we already have Feasting Troll King. Like, it's a fine play on turn 4, and then you can play this on turn 6, but again, I'd rather have the much more busted card already. That being said, Fell the Pheasant is a decent sideboard card I don't mind taking in the black-green deck. We might face against an opponent with lots of flyers, and we just need a way to shoot them down. And the fact that this generates a food off the top is also pretty excellent, so I don't mind taking it here. Alright, once in Future Wheel, the bots are truly drunk. They need to really implement like real humans drafting on Magic the Gathering Arena, because this shouldn't be going this late in a real life pod setting. This card is definitely incredibly excellent. The fact that you can just fetch 2 cards from your graveyard at instant speed, including removal spells like Bacon the Pie, Epic Downfall, Reef Soul, and even Forever Youngs and Sir Conrads and Feasting Troll Kings, etc., is already done by itself. It does exile itself, but yeah, this is a great card for any green mid-range deck, especially black-green. Don't know why this is going so late. They need to fix the bots. Here, I already have a Cauldron. Don't know if I need a second one. There's a chance that Giant Opportunity can still be fine in this type of deck. I'm not high on this card, but let's just say we have incredible amounts of food generation. We can maybe even just sacrifice 2 foods and make a 7/7 Giant. Of course, it doesn't have Trample, and it can get answered, but either way, I mean, the worst case scenario is you make 3 foods, and that can help revive back a Feasting Troll King, give Bognati more activations and more cards to draw off of Trail of Crumbs. So I don't mind a Giant Opportunity, maybe throw it onto the sideboard, I guess. Otherwise, we already have a Cauldron, which I'm not a big fan of in multiples unless I'm playing against a hyper-aggressive deck and I don't have any more removal spells. Malevolent Nova is an okay 2-drop, a 2-drop with a little bit of upside that I can see having its highest potential in the black-green deck, but other than that, it's not too amazing at the end of the day. So don't mind snatching up a giant opportunity here, and maybe throwing a sideboard. Ooh, don't mind main decking Return to Nature, or even sideboarding it. This card is really good. Deals with every time I main deck this card in a real paper draft setting, I always find a target for it. And just since there tends to be lots of artifact creatures running around, lots of artifact spells, lots of enchantment-based removal, and powerful broken enchantments like Improbable Alliance and Great Henge. The fact is, exiles a target card from a graveyard might come in handy as well in case an opponent tries to revive a creature from the graveyard. You can just respond. So definitely a good card. I don't mind main decking. I think this card has a lot of upside in this set, so let's take it. Alright, I'm happy with Foreboding Fruit. Don't think Wildwood Tracker is a card that you want to play in a hyper-aggressive green deck, like green-red or green-white. Of course, this excels best in green-red, since green-red has mostly non-humans, while green-white should have a couple humans. Don't think I want to play this in black-green, since we're looking to play more slower and grindier. And there's plenty of humans in black-green as well, like the Tempting Witch and the Wicked Guardian, and the Sir Comrades, of course, and the Curious Pairs, which don't pair well with this. But I'm happy taking Foreboding Fruit just as a way to draw cards and potentially give us a food in the late game, so I'll snatch it up here. And I don't mind Sporecap Spider, just as more game against flyers. It's a decent blocker on 3, can help block ground creatures as well. I think I like it over another Curve Topper here. Alright, yeah, a pretty busted first pack 1 pick 1. Don't know what's going on. This shouldn't be running late in the pack. This should have been first picked. This should have been first picked. Maybe I could see a situation where Trail of Crumbs is actually getting passed in the real paper draft setting, but these 3 cards shouldn't be around in the late pack. They're just incredibly broken. They're powerful. They're busted, and yeah. So it goes. It shows that Magic the Gathering Arena is not the most intelligent indicator of intelligent way of showing how a real draft works in real life. But I guess I'll take this. Alright, so looking at this pack, not too exciting for us. Midnight Clock is definitely a good card in the right blue controlling deck. Either way, it can still be a fine mana rock that you want to use in like a mid-range green-blue deck. But it's going to excel its best in like a blue control tech, like mono blue or blue black, where you're trying to basically stall off the opponent with your removal spells, and then play lots of slow defensive creatures, and then as a win condition, you can just draw your whole entire get back your whole entire library, draw 7 cards, and just outvalue the opponent. So a truly good card. I wouldn't mind first picking this in the draft, to be honest. But it's quite narrow, sets you up in a controlling deck. But it can be really powerful if you can pull it off. That being said, a bunch of 2-color cards that are good, but I don't care about. Then there is, like, I didn't say please. Yeah, pretty unexciting pack for us. I think the only card we're looking at is Curious Pair, and it's just still a good 2-drop in this type of deck. It places out a decent blocker in the early game, and then it creates a food token right away. So it's definitely going to be included in this deck for sure. If there's a pack 1 pick 1 scenario, I'd probably take the Midnight Clock over to Scorching Dragonfire. Scorching Dragonfire is a good removal spell, but Midnight Clock just seems to have a lot of upside and payoff if you could kind of build around it. But this wouldn't be a good pack 1 pick 1 in my opinion, since the blue controlling decks aren't the best archetype in this set. Usually the most powerful archetype is typically black-green, the one that we're kind of drafting, since it gives us so much life gain, so much card draw. Our creatures are also huge, and lots of removal spells in black. So, yep, unexciting, but Curious Pair has to be the pick here. Can't imagine anything else. Alright, this is a pretty interesting pack. There's Revenge of Ravens, which is excellent. It's a much more high variance card, but it's still great if you can play it against the right aggressive opponent with lots of small creatures like white-green or or white-red or white-black. Usually anything in white, the Revenge of Ravens is incredibly powerful against. It's not as great against blue-black mill, of course, and giant green creatures like Garenbreak Paladin and Feasting Troll King, but it is definitely powerful against those gold white strategies, which makes this an excellent sideboard card. A lot more high variance, but definitely a good card I wouldn't mind taking. Occam Adversaries is also incredibly powerful. Like a 4-mana 2/3 Death Touch is a great card. Not only do they have to deal with this threat right away, but if they can't, they might end up 2-for-1ing themselves just to get a trade off of this. And every time this manages to connect with the opponent, you basically draw a card and gain good value. Either way, yeah, a pretty threatening card that the opponent needs to answer, and if you're facing against another green opponent, you have the upside of casting this for 2 mana, which makes this even more busted. So also a great solid inclusion. There's also Tempting Witch, which I wouldn't mind. Mirrorleaf Rider is a good 2-drop, which I wouldn't mind taking. But given that our 4-drops are kind of like kind of empty right now, I think I'm either leaning Revenge of Ravens and Occam Adversary, and I think I prefer the Adversary more, just as a nice creature. I mean, like, Revenge of Ravens is definitely a powerful defensive card that I don't mind main decking in this type of deck. But I think the upside of Occam Adversary, just drawing us cards, putting out creatures to trade for and attack in the early game, has a lot more higher upside. The game plan of this deck is basically to defend in the early game, play lots of blockers, then kind of play Sir Comrade, our big creatures, Bognati to fly over and just try to win the opponent out. I mean, Revenge would be also great to help kind of our defensive situation, but usually in black-green, you know, the early game can usually block pretty well, and you can kind of defend if you pick up enough decent 2-drops and blockers, so you don't have to worry too much about, like, the Revenge of Ravens kind of protecting you. But either way, it would be a powerful sideboard card that I wouldn't mind taking if Occam Adversary wasn't in his pack. But Occam Adversary is just such a great card, I just have to take it here. Plus, our 4-drops are kind of clunky, I mean, kind of empty at this moment, so let's fill it up. Alright, looking at this pack, nothing great. I guess there's a Gingerbread Cabin that can generate us a food. There's also a Memory Theft, which is a pretty good sideboard card that I can just pick up here now. So it really depends on these both. I can always pick up Gingerbread Cabin later. I don't really want multiple copies of these, like, since tap lands kind of punish you, but one can be fine. But same with the Memory Theft. So it's really just between these two. I think the one that we're looking to main deck a lot more often is just Gingerbread Cabin. So I think we kind of just take it over to Memory Theft. Because it's much more important in Limited, just even in the best out of 3 scenario, to kind of make the best main deckable card. The best deck that we can main deck. The best deck that we can main deck possible. Instead of something we want to, like, debate about sideboarding all day that we might not even end up main decking. So, yeah, I think the Gingerbread Cabin, we can just take a copy here, and we're definitely looking to use an extra food if the case comes up. Here, not exciting. Don't know if we're going to have Adamant too often with double black and double, with double black going on. We're definitely looking to Adamant with the green, of course, but I don't see a reason to take Hengewalker. I think it's a pretty bad card, but I don't know if I want to play a second Foreboding Fruit. It could be possible if we can even defend more in the early game. Otherwise, don't think I'm playing Jousting Dummy. I think Inquisitive Puppet is pretty bad. Other great, like, the best card in this pack is Improbable Alliance, but we're never going to get there at this point. So, I guess since we have our Foreboding Fruit, maybe we can make a chance to maybe include a Hengewalker if we need a blocker on 3. Yeah, don't mind taking it here. We already have, like, card draw with Trail of Crumbs already, so we're not in desperate need of card draw. Like, this gives us draws, this gives us draws, and having multiple copies can be detrimental, especially if you kind of have to constantly use this in the late game, and dealing 2 to yourself can kind of be bad, especially if you can't get the black Adamant off and you're facing against a hyper-aggressive opponent. So yeah, maybe Hengewalker, we'll see. Well, with my second Sporecap Spider, there's also Ginger Brew, but Ginger Brew is better, believe it or not, in a more aggressive deck. It's a fine 1-drop, it's a fine food, but it's not gonna. But we don't really care about giving this evasion and attacking the opponent for 1 per turn. It's better to play the Golden Egg. At least the Golden Egg can help us draw a card, while Gingerbread is just a 1/1 that you can kind of use as food right away that you can kind of chump and gain life, which I'm not huge on since we're looking to play defense in the meantime, and I don't really think this provides enough toughness to even block in the long run. It can maybe chump for a single turn and go away, but that's it. That's about it. I think I don't mind a second Spore Cap Spider just to kind of shore up our 3-drops. In case we don't pick up any more 3-drops, it's better safe to be sorry, just having a lot more blockers against an aggressive opponent. Same logic, not taking second Foreboding Fruit gets bad in multiples. We already have one. Crashing Drawbridge would be a fine inclusion as well. Like, it can be a fine sideboard card, especially if we're playing a lot more big green creatures. I mean, in this case, I actually don't mind taking this. Like, if we drop down something like Feasting Choking and we give it haste, that can be very powerful. That being said, none of the other creatures I really care about giving haste to. Like, Sir Comrade doesn't want to get into too many fights, since you want to keep this on the battlefield. Ocam can be fine, I guess. Bognati can be fine. But we would need, like, a lot more big green creatures like Garenbrig Paladin to kind of smash through. I mean, we already have a Spore Cap Spider and Fell the Pheasant on the sideboard, so maybe I can take the Crashing Drawbridge as a sideboard potential as well. Alright, wouldn't mind a second Kiri's Pair. There's also Searing Barrage on the splash if we're going that route, but gotta imagine taking a second one here just as a good blocker, way to generate food. Already have another Foreboding Fruit. Don't mind Spectre Shriek. This just is another good sideboard card for for the best out 3 in case we're facing against another black deck. This can just kind of get a card for a card at 1 black, which is excellent. Not great if they don't have any black cards in hand, but against a heavy black opponent, Spectre Shriek is definitely powerful. So let's take it here. And next we managed to wield a Memory Death. I guess we'll take it over a second Gingerbread Cabin. I don't think we're ever playing Garenbrig Squire, and we don't need too many 2s as of right now, so we can just kind of take an uncommon for gems, I guess. Okay, I'm happy seeing a Merreleaf Rider. There's also Festive Funeral as a clunky removal spell. I don't want too many multiple copies of these, but we are kind of lacking removal, so I could use a copy, but I think Merreleaf Rider is just a lot more important, just as a 2-drop that can trade off in the early game. And then it can also serve as a removal spell as well, kind of forcing an opponent to block this creature, in a sense. Also a nice way to kind of sacrifice food to trigger off the Trail of Crumbs. And if you have multiple food, you can force the opponent to throw all the creatures in front of Merreleaf Rider while you get in the big attack. And yeah, happy taking it here. Nothing here. Maybe Lockdown Gargoyle can be a fine blocker. Don't think I'm playing Jousting Dummy, but I'll take it. Alright, so this second pack is pretty disappointing. Hopefully the next pack delivers. We're definitely lacking removal spells, of course. We only have like a few ways to remove stuff. We have a Cauldron, Merreleaf Rider, and a Bognati, but we do need food with the Bognati to get the engine going. Otherwise, we could use like an Epic Downfall, a Bacon to a Pie, even like a Reef Soul. But other than that, I think our 2s are good. I think the late game is good. I think we just need a little bit more 3-drops. So we need to get kind of lucky in the last pack to get enough 3-drops, of course, and then some removal spells to kind of back up our Feasting Troll Kings in the late game and whatnot. So gotta cross our fingers and hope the bots are as drunk as the first pack. So let's move on. Alright, and looking at this pack, the best card in this pack is Giant Killer, but I wouldn't mind a Tempting Witch. Again, not an exciting first pick again, but still reasonable to kind of just round out our deck. I think our deck has a good power level, but not insanely busted. If the pack 2 had more busted rares and uncommons, like more like an Edgewall Innkeeper or another Feasting Troll King or another Sir Conrad, then that would be truly busted. But right now it's still a good deck. But I gotta imagine taking a Tempting Witch here as a fine blocker on 3 and also generates a food. But pretty disappointing again. Under Ocam is busted. Happy to see this. I think I'll take it over the Forever Young and Giant Skewer. Yeah, what can you say? Just 2 of these is really great. Draws a card whenever it connects. I wouldn't mind Forever Young to go with Conrad, of course, but we do have Once in Future to kind of recur anyways. A Giant Skewer is a decent equipment, but a little bit slow. It's almost like 5 mana, make a 2/1 for the most part, and that's not too great. but it can be an okay way to generate food, but not the best from my experience. This card has been a bit of an underperformer, even like in a foods deck, but it can get away with games, especially if you equip it onto Feasting Troll King or a creature that the opponent is forced to block. But I'm happy seeing another Oaking Adversary. Alright, Deathless Knight. Well, our deck definitely has everything it almost needs, except like maybe an Edgewall Innkeeper. How many ways do we have to generate food? We have 3 foods from the Feasting Troll King, potentially a Gingerbread Cabin. So that's 3, 4, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have some pretty decent ways to generate food, and I wouldn't mind taking Deathless Knight here. Whenever we just gain life, it just returns to our hand. So that's truly busted. It's even more busted with cards like Revenge of Ravens if we manage to wheel one. And that can kind of, whenever the opponent attacks, it kind of forces us to gain life, and then we can just replay the Deathless Knight. But definitely going to excel best at our black-green deck, so it's definitely looking incredibly powerful. Otherwise, I wouldn't mind a second Marrowleaf Rider or Lost Legion. Lost Legion is a decent blocker, and it has some decent toughness, and it can be a nice way for cards like Wicked Guardian to kind of trigger off and draw a card off from this. But at double black at 3 mana, it is kind of sketchy. But yeah, gotta take the Deathless Knight. Makes the most sense in our deck. Ooh, Rosethorn Acolyte, happy to see one finally. There's also another Cauldron, but I gotta imagine the Rosethorn just to kind of help us ramp and find play on turn 3 to kind of get us to our Feasting Troll King. We are again lacking removal, but I think with enough creatures we can kind of get there. I wouldn't mind a second Cauldron, but definitely can't take it over another Rosethorn Acolyte. Our 3s still have a bit of a hole that this can fill, and since this can fix our mana, make us cast our double black cards and our quadruple green Feasting Troll King, so happy seeing it here. Oh, well, there's another Broom. I don't think I need a second Broom, given that our 2-drops are looking decent already. But I won't mind a Forever Young, just as a way to kind of recur back our creatures in case they get answered. Again, we're kind of lacking removal, so we kind of need that kind of ability to kind of recur creatures if they get answered in the late game. That being said, it's again great with Sir Comrade. Once in the future, can also fetch this back to use it the second time. Spork Spider, we already have one. Sorcerer's Broom, we already have one. I think it makes sense to take the Forever Young, so let's take it here. We're still on 19 cards, so we had to make sure we pick up 4 cards here. Ooh, happy to see an Outmuscle. Yeah, right now we're at 19 cards minus the land, so hopefully we don't end up low on playables. Otherwise, we might have to put in one of our sideboard cards. But happy to see an Outmuscle here. We're definitely looking at it for a removal spell, and we definitely have some good fighters. And with this being in our deck, we definitely want to kind of try to maximize our green adamant as much as possible. So we might even go 10-7 if we want to be as greedy as we want to. We don't have enough mana fixing, so maybe still 9-8. But otherwise, Outmuscle is definitely what we're looking for. And Wicked Guardian seems to play well with kind of our 3-drops with high toughness, plays well the Kiri's pair, draws us card as well. Looks like an excellent inclusion into our deck, so we'll take it. And another Tempting Witch, yeah, might as well just play the second one. Again, we just need 2 more playables, and I wouldn't mind a second Tempting Witch just to block even more in the early game and give us more food and a potential way to drain the opponents in the late game. Insatiable Appetite wouldn't mind main decking just as a pump spell. Since we're kind of lacking removal, it could kind of make sense just to have one. Just a way to push past an opposing blocker. Don't think I'm playing Witch's Cottage. It looks like we're much more incentivized for heavy green. You don't really want to play too many tapped lands in a deck like this, especially if you want to play like Conrad on turn 5 and you top deck a Witch's Cottage, and those scenarios do happen. But I'm going to take it here just in case and put it in the sideboard because there's nothing for us. Nothing here that we want. Okay, well, looks like there's a Lash of Thorns, but we already have like an Insatiable Appetite that does a better job. There's Tava's Beanstalk, which I don't think we're going to main deck either way because we already have like a Felda Pheasant. And our 4s are looking stacked if we include this in our deck, so maybe Lash. But yeah, it looks like we have a straightforward 40-card deck already. This is probably the most perfect draft I've done so far, given that this is also best out of 3. I'm actually pretty happy about this. Looking at our mana base, we're definitely favoring green a lot more. Don't know if I want to go 10-7. It can be kind of sketchy. We do want to drop our Tempting Witches on turn 3. I think we could get to quadruple green with Feasting Troll King. So let's kind of move our interaction spells away. These are turn 2 plays. This is an interaction spell. This is an interaction spell. Move this out of the way. Move these two out of the way. So this is kind of like the curve that we're looking at right now. It looks pretty decent. A little bit high on 4, but that's still fine. The 3s are looking good. The 2s are looking good. In terms of mana base, yeah, I could maybe see myself going 10-7. It is kind of sketchy though, since I do want double black for Bognati and double black for Sir Comrade. And I also want to use the black mana to kind of activate the abilities like maybe a couple multiple times in a sense. But I do want to cast quadruple 4 for Feasting Troll King. It would be a pretty hard miss if I can't cast this exactly on 6. I mean, maybe it's fine, like, you don't have to cast this exactly on 6. Because if you look at our green cards, are only single green for the most part. The only really ones that we want Adamant with is maybe an Outmuscle and Once in Future, and we can, for the most part, get there. So maybe just 9-8 is fine for now. I mean, I played decks that went 10-7, and even then I end up having plenty of swamps and in the early game, so I think I can maybe just kind of risk it and go 10-7 for the most part. Any other considerations? Don't need Witch's Cottage. Already have Insatiable Appetite over Lash of Thorns. Spectre Shriek and Memory Theft are sideboard cards. If I'm playing against a black opponent, I want to cast a Spectre Shriek against them. If I'm playing against a deck with lots of adventure creatures, Memory Theft would be great. Fell the Pheasant for more anti-flyers. Giant Opportunity. I think we should have enough food. We have double Carries pair, so that's 2. Trail Crumbs is 3. Tempting Witch, double Tempting Witch is 5. And then 6, 7, 8 with the Feasting Troll King. And then maybe 9. Yeah, we should have pretty decent ways to gain food that we don't necessarily need a Giant Opportunity. But I can see playing one just in case. If we're looking to cut a card to place into our main deck, what would it be? I don't think I'm playing any of these. Even in sideboard, I don't think they're useful. Maybe I end up cutting Return of Nature if I don't see a lot of artifacts. Maybe the Pump Spell. Maybe a Curious Pair. Maybe a Merrileaf Rider. Maybe a Tempting Witch. So all sorts of possibilities. So we gotta kind of keep track of our food generators. Foreboding Fruit is one of them. Double Curious Pair, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, 8. So 8 ways to kind of generate food. How many food payoffs? 1, 2, 3. Maybe 4, 5. I mean, we kind of want the Adamant for black with the Foreboding Fruit as well, but that can be cast in the late game. So I guess we try this out. Maybe just go 10-7. I would be pretty upset if we can't cast like Bognati or Conrad on 5. And we do need double black, so it is maybe kind of sketchy. But I also don't want to draw just a bunch of black in the early game and not be able to play my green cards, since we're looking to be much more heavier green. So yeah, I think we'll try this out. And yeah, I think Feasting Troll King should be our picture. I'm not a big fan of changing the land arts, of course, but I guess I'll do it. Maybe play some beautiful lands. It kind of makes sense since it looks kind of grindy. Don't know why I cut a forest, but I'll add back. For the forest, yeah, this looks pretty cool. I don't mind this. I mean, it's more like an Ixalan forest, so it doesn't make sense. Yeah, I think this makes sense. I was looking for something with a gingerbread cabin or something, but whatever. So we can go down to 9. Alright, let's try this out. Let's get going. Let's see how often we draw our black lands. because I want to make sure I want to at least like have at least 2 black by then. But you know, 10-7 is still kind of sketchy. But even the 9-8 is sketchy. I don't know. I feel like we do need the double black for Sir Comrade and Bognati eventually. So hopefully we don't kind of get ourselves mana screwed for too much green. And well, this isn't a good first keep. We're on the draw still, so I'm still fine mulliganing away. Never keep a 1-lander, so let's go. Right, this is a little bit better. We want to cast our Rosethorn on 3. What can we cut? For Burning Fruit can find us answers. Insatiable Appetite is not going to be too good. But I don't mind a Deathless Knight on 4. So I think we keep this, and I think we bomb the Insatiable, since it's kind of greedy bottoming a land on the draw. I guess I could maybe cut the Insatiable Appetite for more food generation. Because we're not looking to be hyper aggressive, so I might cut the Insatiable Appetite for the Giant Opportunity, since we're looking to play lots of foods in this type of deck. I think I'm going to start playing a Swamp, just to maybe enable Adamant eventually for this Foreboding Fruit. Put my Flash in the Fairy Vandal end of turn, alright. So that's something we definitely need to deal with. Currently Spectre Shriek doesn't look like a good sideboard card. I can see myself main decking Fell the Pheasant, perhaps. Yeah, I can actually see Giant Opportunity being pretty good in this deck. Maybe I should cut out the Insatiable Appetite for it. And then, like, the next game we can kind of decide how to deal with this annoying flyer. That's going to grow pretty large. So opponent off to an aggressive start. Our ways to deal with this is like Sporecap Spider, I guess. And a Bloodhaze Wolverine, which can gain first strike. Alright, so now what? I guess we play out the Swamp. I guess we could play out Curious Pair, make a food, and play out the Curious Pair. And we can still play Deathless Knight next turn. If we play Rosethorn and Acolyte, we're going to have 5 mana next turn. How good is that? Don't think that's too necessary, since... yeah, I think it's better to just play Curious Pair, make a food, and play out the blocker. And I'm fine trading it off for maybe the Wolverine just as a blocker, since his opponent's looking to win through the air and not the ground. I don't think I need the extra 5 mana from the Rosethorn next turn. Like, I could Foreboding Fruit and play out the Curious Pair, but I want to make sure I can play out the food, make the food first. So I don't know. Maybe it's best to play a Rosethorn. It might be better overall in the long run, but we'll see. Yeah, maybe it's better to play the Rosethorn and take a beating for now. Okay, it shows that the opponent doesn't have any card draw spells on his turn, since he didn't enable any pumps. Raging Redcap is decent. Now what? Since he didn't play any ways to draw cards, Curious Pair can still block up the 1-2 pretty decently. I could send in my Deathless Knight, but his 2-1 will just eat it. So I think the right play now is just Rosethorn Acolyte here. Let's just say go, and then we can block the Raging Redcap if he tries to do something here. We are definitely taking beating from this Fairy Vandal, so I'm definitely looking forward to maybe sideboarding, maybe even taking out the Sporecap Spider just to shoot down this Fairy Vandal, potentially. Insatiable Appetite doesn't seem great in our deck because we're not looking to be hyper aggressive. So yeah, I think it was best to maybe replace that with a Giant Opportunity, perhaps. And then maybe we can even cut a Tempting Witch, since we have Giant Opportunity to make room for the Fell the Pheasant. Alright, opponent attacks in. I think it's fine blocking like this. Now the question is, do I block the Raging Redcap? Probably has a pump spell for it. How much mana will I have next turn? I'll have 6 mana. I can play out a Tempting Witch and Foreboding Fruit myself. But if I do this, he needs to play a pump spell and draw a card. Next turn I can still have a blocker up for Tempting Witch. I don't know. Maybe I'm fine taking the extra 2, but the Foreboding Fruit is going to make me lose life anyways. I might need the extra ramp to sacrifice the food. So I think this is okay. A Rimrock Knight would be pretty bad with this Raging Redcap, though. But I think I need the mana here. Okay, I guess he's not going to draw a card off of this. I guess he's just trying to push in as much damage as possible. He kind of missed the first strike trigger, and I guess he's barging in. I don't know. I think he should barge in on the Raging Redcap, but I guess he wants to save the creature. So opponent's definitely off to an aggressive start. Definitely need a way to deal with this flyer and then just kind of gum up the ground against the opponent. Cover removal spell here. Alright, even a Scorching Dragonfire. Alright, so we're not in good shape. Can Forever Young. What would I get back? The Acolyte. Don't think I want Forever Young back in Acolyte. The Deathless Knight doesn't block properly. Maybe just a Tempting Witch. Could Foreboding Fruit myself. Just to dig deeper, but then I wouldn't. Yeah, let's play out the Tempting Witch, and maybe we can sacrifice a food end of turn. Could Forever Young, but I don't think I want Forever Young back a Kiri's pair. Alright, another removal spell. Alright, so the opponent has all the removal spells, so I think I'm going to sacrifice food to just kind of gain life so I don't die. Alright, so I think I'm dead, unless I kind of get more food. I could just play off the Deathless Knight, maybe block with it, and then sack food end of turn. I could Forever Young back the blockers, actually. That's actually not a bad idea. Yeah, I think I'll do that. Get back maybe the Kiri's pair. I mean, it's the same as the Tempting Witch, right? Because Kiri's pair is also 3 mana to make a food, so yeah, let's just get back to Tempting Witch. And we should be able to survive one more extra turn here by taking a beating, and then we should have some food to sack. Alright, this is 4 damage, so anyway he draws the card, we just die. So, yep, good game. Alright, so opponent's definitely playing a hyper-aggressive deck. I don't see too many flyers, so the Very Vandal was just kind of like, I don't know, it was just there, I suppose. So I don't know if there's any still good reason to main deck a Felder Pheasant, especially since he's looking to be low to the ground and aggressive. Alright, computer, hurry up, load up. So I think now that I've seen this deck, I don't think I need Insatiable Appetite. I think it makes sense to put in the Giant Opportunity for more life gain. I should have some decent blockers still. That last game, I just didn't grab them. What can answer the flyer? Scalding Cauldron, Outmuscle, Bognati activation, but that's later on. Maybe I cut something for the Felder Pheasant, potentially. I do like my top end. I do like my 4s. Yeah, maybe we can survive and maybe kind of get a... I guess I can cut Return to Nature. I didn't see any artifacts or enchantments that I need to get rid of. No improbable alliances or anything, so maybe I can side in Felder Pheasant instead. That can potentially deal with his flyer. So yeah, I think this is fine. I think I need to go back to basically 9-8 since missing out on the adamant from Foreboding Fruit can be a bit of a problem. So I think I'll try this. Alright, we'll definitely play first to kind of gain the initiative. I think I like this hand. 2-drop, 3-drop, I think I'm keeping. Opponent knows that we're in black-green food, so we don't really care about playing out our colors right away. And we should have a 3-drop blocker, and Trail of Crumbs in the early game as well. And in these matchups, we don't really want like double Foreboding Fruit, just like what I mentioned, since they're looking to be hyper aggressive. Happy to play out the Swamp, play out Trail of Crumbs. Next turn we can play another Swamp, Tempting Witch, and then the Wicked Guardian. Opponent might even have a Folio, hopefully not. Here, I think I'm just fine playing out Tempting Witch. Could play out Curious Pair, play it out, but I think it's much more mana efficient just to do this. Next turn we can even Wicked Guardian this card. Flash and Fairy Vandal end of turn. Okay, no, it's just an opt. Fairy Vandal is the only flyer I saw, but he could have another one. But I didn't see any broken enchantments or artifacts that I had to answer with Return to Nature. So happy sideboarding that out. Okay, Improbable Alliance, so yeah. It's a good indication now to basically have the Return to Nature next game. But now I think I like the Wicked Guardian here. I think I'm going to attack first. And then play out the Wicked Guardian, draw a card. You can potentially run away with the game with the Improbable Alliance, so I do need to start being a little bit more aggressive against the opponent. Yep. This is a great card since you can play this early on turn 2, make fairies with other synergy cards, and then on turn 6 you can activate this in the late game. So it's definitely a powerful card. I might even take this over Bacon to a Pie Pack when pick one, even though it's 2 colors, but it's definitely powerful. Mad Ratter is great too. Definitely need an answer to that, or else we're going to lose the game. So we got to start being a little bit more aggressive. So what can I do this turn? I think I can draw cards with Foreboding Fruit, even though it doesn't make me food. It draws me a card. Don't think I need a second Tempting Witch. I think all I need to do is really hit my land drops. So I think I'm going to Foreboding Fruit myself, draw 2 cards, play out land, play out Merreleaf Rider, which can eventually trade off with a Mad Ratter, and get in for 4 here. And I think I'll just kind of force the trade with the Merreleaf Rider next turn, to just kind of get rid of this Mad Ratter. Otherwise, it's just going to go off and make a million Wrath tokens, which I won't be happy about. Alright, Tome Raider is going to draw him a bunch of rats, but I'm happy to force a trade with this Merreleaf Rider. I could even just force a trade with the Flyer as well, by sacrificing double foods for it. Well, I guess he has a removal spell now, so that's not good. Alright. So I guess we kind of have to deal with the Flyers now. And we did sideboard out Return to Nature, so that's a bummer. Well, now I have Sporecap Spider, which is great. But hopefully it doesn't have Searing Barrage. Don't think I want to get an attack here. I could sacrifice the food and draw off the top to see what I get. And then maybe if I get a land, I can play it out and play out Sporecap Spider. Or I can otherwise just kind of drain them to kind of beat them. I don't know. Some interesting decisions here. Maybe Sporecap Spider is just the right play and we make a food. Make 2 foods in fact and kind of set up for a turn. Do I attack here? I don't think Wicked Guardian is going to do much, so I think I'm just going to send it at this point. I have to get rid of rats eventually. And it's not going to do much at this point, given that he has all these chump blockers. Now he can just play land, just make fairies, and then make a million rats constantly. I need to start putting up blockers. I could eventually just drain them out, I guess, since I have 12 damage to the face right now with the Tempting Witches, and almost close to 15. Opponent goes for a throw of possibilities here to kind of just trigger. Yeah, I could just drain the opponent out, but I would need a couple of lands to get this going, so I would probably have to play the second Tempting Witch. And then maybe if I top deck a land, I can start draining them. And then drawing cards off of this Trail of Crumbs. Because other than that, I don't see any other way of winning at this point. Opponent could have another counter spell, so land is good. So what I can do now is I could just activate the Tempting Witch. I could just do it on their turn, I guess. Yeah, maybe I just activate now. Feasting Troll King is great. Can I cast it? I do need a 4 food, but it would be potentially busted if I can land it. Oakham Adversary is just going to get blocked forever, so I think I take the Feasting Troll King here. And then I can play a second one here, and then start basically blocking them and shooting them down with the food. Maybe I would love the second Spore Cap Spider against his flyers now that I think about it. Opponent should have maybe another instant speed Thrill of Possibilities end of turn. That would be pretty scary. Alright, an opt. Well, that's not going to draw him a second card, but he could just double opt here to kind of trigger it off. I think that might be his plan. Now I can just activate double Tempting Witch end of turn and draw cards too for potentially more lands, for more Feasting Troll Kings. Yeah, I think he's supposed to double opt to get the second trigger, so I think he kind of misplayed. He should have used it on his turn. Because now this is 12 damage to the face. The Feasting Troll King can make even more foods. Alright, now he opts. Opponent's probably trying to find removal for my Spore Cap Spider. So I do need to race this opponent quickly. Yeah, he probably has it now. Alright, that's not good. So I'm going to start taking air damage, but I can still block the ground creature. But I still have life gain going on still, so I don't mind this. I don't think the opponent has lethal either way. Ooh, the Feasting Troll King is great. Do I just play it out here? I could drain them for 6 and draw cards. Could fell the Pheasant too. Could use it to gain life. I don't think I'm dead next turn, so I should still be okay. So it's 3 mana, so it's a total of 6 mana. I would need to draw lands off the top for the Curious Pair, so I think I play out the Feasting Troll King here. And then next turn I can just constantly gain life and throw food at the opponent's face, and also gain a good attack. So it's definitely not lethal. So I'm definitely taking this. I could still also just gain life, so I don't care too much right now. He could just make me sacrifice the food by chump blocking with all of his tokens. And that's still reasonable. And this is for free if I can just sacrifice the 3 foods. I could just play out the Bognati, but I think we get an attack first. Could just sacrifice food to gain life. We'll see. We're obviously going to get an attack here. If I play out the Bognati, I won't be able to activate the ability anyways, since it's all this mana, but I'm happy just trading off for all these. Ooh, he's just actually just going to take it here? Wow, okay. So I can just drain the opponent here, so I think I'm just going to do that. Do I want to activate Trail of Crumbs? Probably not, because I want to use like the extra mana for basically maybe sacrificing a food to gain life, or else I'll die. Alright, so we're definitely boarding in. We're definitely going to board in the I could maybe search for something. I don't know. He would definitely need like life gain here, but yep. Definitely boarding in Return to Nature. Pretty strange how the opponent went from like flyers, ground creatures into flyers now. So now we definitely need to get in Return to Nature. What do we side back out? Hello, computer. All right. Don't think I need a Tempting Witch. I mean, I did like 2 of them to kind of drain them out to kind of get across damage. I guess we can cut Fell the Pheasants. I mean, he does have flyers, but mostly they're 1/1s. The only crazy flyer that we need to answer is Fairy Vandal. Other than that, we could just make a bunch of food from Giant Opportunity and just gain a bunch of life and drain them out and just use that to our advantage. Yeah, I don't think I need to Fell the Pheasant since he's going to make mostly 1/1 flyers that I don't care about. The Appetite's not going to do its best. Yeah, it makes sense to just have the, what did I take in the Return of Nature against Improbable Alliance. And I still think I'm going to stay 9-8. That last game I did miss kind of like a force for the Feasting Troll King, but I still got there. So I'm still happy with this. Alright, Sporecraft Spire on 3. We're kind of flooding out. We're on the draw though. But we do an out must, so I think this is okay. I could be wrong, but I don't think I can bottom this. Opponent's not playing hyper aggressive too. He is also kind of slow, so we gotta keep that in mind. Yeah, I gotta play out the forest first to kind of get the adamant off from the out muscle. I don't think I'm gonna Foreboding Fruit too early if I draw it. Nope, no Improbable Lines. Happy to see that. Okay, now we can make a food, so that seems great. The opponent went from a very aggressive low to the ground deck to a very flyers heavy one, which doesn't make all that much sense. Alright, this is good. Next, we can play a Sporecraft Spider. Next turn, we can start getting in the Oakham adversaries and just drawing cards off of them. And we have once in future to get this back if he has a removal spell for this. Mad Ratter, I can outmuscle away, and I definitely think I should, or else I won't be able to answer it. I could do it later, but he's just gonna make a bunch of rat tokens. So for now, I think the outmuscle is definitely worth it here, just to take out this Mad Ratter. Do I get him for 2? Don't mind. This could matter. And trading 2 for 1 is decent. And since it's at 2, this is at 6 toughness now, so he needs a way to deal 1 damage to this and then use Searing Barrage. Alright, the Lock Dragon is powerful, but I have a good blocker against it still. I can also once in future and get back the Outmuscle and Sporecraft Spider if need be. Ooh, Sir Comrade. It would be the much more mana efficient play, so I think I just play it out. Definitely not attacking here, so I can kind of hold off this Lock Dragon. You could have a Red Cap melee, I guess. The opponent went from a strange red-blue low to the ground aggro deck to now like the typical red-blue draw 2 deck with the flyers and whatnot. Okay, so this attack, I'm definitely have to take out the Lock Dragon. I don't care if he uses a removal spell on this. I just want to make sure he doesn't keep cycling cards, and I also have once in future to also get it back. But I'm definitely fine with this. It's going to barge in. Okay. Well, he will need another removal spell now. Alright, a Rimrock Knight, sure. That's going to trample over for 1. So I definitely need some defense against flyers now, but Sir Conrad can kill him for a bunch. The flyers definitely need to be answered, of course. So if I top deck a land next turn, that would be pretty nice, since I can also Kiri's Pair and cast once in future. And no such luck. I could just take the damage in the air and keep Sir Conrad back, and then next turn get the Outmuscle going. Once in future, back the Outmuscle and deal this Lock Dragon. Because these flyers are pretty annoying right now. I don't really want to take 2 damage from my own Foreboding Fruit. Especially if it's not going to make me a food. I could just play out the Oakham adversary, of course. But I think it might be the right play to just stay back and cast once in future. Could I removal spells for Sir Conrad? And if he does, do I once in future before it happens? Because I think I should, just because I prefer the Spore Cap Spider, maybe just to block the flyers a little bit better. Okay, opponent's just gonna attack. I'm fine blocking the Bloodhaze Wolverine. He could have a pump spell, but I think I'm still for it. And I should be able to give back both the both Spore Cap Spider and Outmuscle next turn for Adamant. So yeah, I'm taking this for now. Alright, Rimrock Knight. I can still block that profitably. Definitely getting both cards back to my hand. And I think I don't mind using Sir Conrad to kind of just fight off the Lock Dragon, to be honest. Alright, I think I just go for it now before it deals any more damage. And this is Adamant too, so Scorching Dragonfire won't be able to deal with this. This is indestructible. Okay, still tiny. Right, it's still going to fight it off unless he has a second one. Does he have a second one? And I still have a pretty good blocker. No attacks. And this is indestructible, so Searing Barrage doesn't deal with this. You could have a Searing Barrage next turn. So which one do I block? I think I block the Bloodhaze and take the extra damage from 3-1. I mean, he could give this card draw and then first strike. I mean, I guess he can Searing Barrage anyways. If I absorb this damage. Alright, the first strike, sure. So yeah, it's better to block this because he could just Searing Barrage me and then first strike with the 3-2. But now I still get a 2-for-1 if he uses Searing Barrage. I mean the Scorching Dragonfire on my Sir Comrade. Sure, don't care. I think he's looking for Searing the fire. Alright, Gingerbread Cabin's good. Makes us a food. Now we can play out the Spore Cap Spider. Now we can play out even the Rosethorn Acolyte as well. I don't think I'm scared of dying at this point. Maybe I can get in for 4. Yeah, I don't mind getting in for 4. Opponent dig through a million cards. Fairy Vandal, okay, sure. I can still block it. Sir Eleonora, sure. But I'm still getting in for it with the Sir Comrade, of course. Broom. So now what? Do have food to sack for life, so maybe I can play out the Adversary, sack food, say go. I think I'm gonna get in for this with the Sir Comrade though, just kind of pressure the opponent a bit. And he wants to trade off the Fairy Vandal. I'm fine with that. I do want to get rid of these cards eventually. I mean, I guess the Carrie's Pair can kind of block the Bloodhaze Wolverine too. 4 activations of Comrade too, but I don't think I'm going to use the ability now, simply because I don't think it's going to get lethal. Here, I don't mind the Adversary. I mean, could just play out the Kiri's Pair, to be honest. Maybe even just block the Bloodhaze Wolverine. Yeah, Kiri's Pair seems fine. Then we can play out the Broom, and then we can sacrifice food end of turn, or even activate Sir Comrade. So I think I'm down for this. Just gotta make sure we have some life going, otherwise we're just gonna die to the opponent's like removal spells and whatnot to the face. Alright, another Bloodhaze Wolverine, don't care about that. Doesn't really have any ways to enable them. Activates her comrade. Well, that's good. Even attempting which, I just activates her comrade again. Could just get in for an attack, I suppose. It's not wrong. Or I just activates her comrade twice end of turn. What if I mean, I could just sacrifice Sir Conrad. He can do a double block, a triple block. I don't think I mind that. Yeah, let's just kill off Sir Conrad. Because the triggers will still go on the stack, and he's gonna lose a bunch of creatures anyways to this. So yeah, do I activate him? Probably. And one creature gone will basically kill off the opponent. Since these... yeah, let's activate again, I guess. Yeah. Alright, and opponent should be dead. Since it goes on the stack. Alright, sweet. Our first victory. And yeah, this deck definitely got there. And let's move on to our second game. Alright, the opponent's also playing green. We have a turn 2 Volcame adversary. So we definitely don't want to play Trail of Crumbs into this Flax Intruder, otherwise he's just going to get rid of it. But I'm happy seeing playing this out in 2. Kind of just drawing cards off of this as well. Eventually, with one more forest, we can kind of... ooh, yeah, maybe I should have taken this out. Forgot to redo the sideboards. But happy drawing a card here. Ooh, awesome. So now Rosary Acolyte comes in the battlefield, and then we should have enough green with one more forest to cast a Troll King on 6 and win the game. Okay, Merleaf Rider is good. I do have an Appetite, which I can use. And I think I might just fire it off if he decides to block it. I still have 3 mana up to play a Tempting Witch. Yeah, let's go for it. Just to get this Merleaf Rider out of the way. So I guess it does have uses. Flax Intruder is not a great card in Limited unless you have Lucky Clover, by the way. You don't really want to spend 7 mana to make 3 2/2 bears. Now what? Guess we get in with the adversary and see what we draw. And if we get out Forest, we can play out the Feasting Troll King. Could have something here, maybe like a pump spell for the Flaxen Intruder. It still results in a trade, so I don't mind this. Sure, it's a still fine 2 for 1. At the very least. So now I can safely resolve the Trail of Crumbs. I can also just sack the food, end of turn, and draw. And I think I prefer that. And then we can just say go. I mean, I can also just deal damage to the opponent's face, for all I care. And then with another forest, we can drop the Feasting Troll King and basically win the game. The opponent's stuck on 3 land. I can't imagine anything besides Epic Downfall that can deal with this Feasting Troll King. Not looking for a swamp, but I guess I'll take it. Ooh, Bognati. Do I just play that out? Could just make another food and then try to fetch for force end of turn, but this Bognati is definitely tempting. So I think I'll play it out. I think I like making food over attacking. Just to generate more value, and we can get in there for 1. Opponent's a mono green, so he could be building around a Yorvo, I suppose. Could have a Fell the Pheasant, I guess, for the Bognati, since he's hovering over it. Yeah, honestly, I don't know how mono green deal with flyers. I mean they do have like Fell the Pheasant, but mono green doesn't have too many evasion from my experience. I've actually drafted mono green before, and they don't have too many creatures that can kind of get in there. They don't have any flyers other than the Garenbrig Paladin, but usually the opponent should have creatures with more than 4 power. Here I can just attack with both, and if he blocks, I can activate the Bognati for 3 mana, and also basically draw a card off of it. I don't think I mind that. Yeah, I think we go for it. He's gonna think this is a bit sketchy, but I don't think a bad player realizes this. So guess he's just gonna take it. Makes sense. Could sacrifice 2 foods to get rid of the Witch Stalker, but I think it makes more sense. I think I just want to activate this, to be honest, and dig it a little bit deeper too. Sir Comrade, sure, we'll take it. And I could just play out the Broom. I think it makes sense if I'm looking to sacrifice eventually. I want to multiply with this. Just, another forest off top, and Feasting Troll King will just win me the game, basically. The opponent doesn't have too many scary enchantments, so I can see myself taking out Return to Nature next game. And the Insatiable Appetite actually did something too, which is funny. But I would like the Giant Opportunity next game, and there's no way in hell green has flyers, so there's no need for Fell the Pheasant. The most Return to Nature is going to do is just kill out a food, which I don't care. Could have an out muscle here. Alright, he just concedes. He might just concede a second game, and I don't mind that. It's free wins to show off this cool best out of 3 traditional draft format. And it's lagging again. Don't understand why this Magic Arena does this. This computer is pretty good, by the way. This internet's pretty good, by the way. Alright, here, don't need Fell the Pheasant. Could see Giant Opportunity making it. And do I just cut the Insatiable Appetite, I guess? Probably. And I think this is good. I mean, we're still going 10-7 too. So, I think we keep trying the 10-7. Since this opponent doesn't seem too difficult, we can kind of test out how it works. Last game we still managed to draw some black, which I'm surprised. Alright, now we aren't getting our green mana, but we do have Flowing Fruit on 3. I think it's a keep, since the opponent doesn't seem too crazy in the early game unless he has Marrowleaf Rider. I could just mulligan, I guess, but we're on the draw. I think we'll eventually get green. Let's risk it. With 10 green sources, I think it's worth keeping this, since we only have 7 black sources, and this at least gives Adamant on turn 3. Could the opponent just be lagging us out because he knows he's going to lose? He's just going to waste our time. Okay, I guess not. Not a salty opponent. Alright. Opponent starts with a Witch's card, so I guess he's still black-green. He just didn't show us the colors last game. Hopefully, I don't know if I need to discard if I... Ooh, okay. If I play out Foreboding Fruit, I'm going to be at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards. And then I'll have the discard end of turn if I want to do this for Adamant. Could just play out the Gingerbread Cabin. Like, I'm not in a hurry to cast Foreboding Fruit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I'll not have to end up discarding if I use this. So I think the Gingerbread Cabin is the right play. To kind of ensure that we can just play Sporecap Spider on 3 and then Wicked Guardian onto it. So the opponent is also blue, a black-green, Locked-Dwayne Paladin. That's interesting. Without Adamant. Okay. So we can potentially block this off relatively easily. So I think we play the Forest here. I guess we can Sporecap Spider, make a food, and then Wicked Guardian next turn. Take 3 for now. Missing the green really hurts, so got punished there for the tapped lands, but I think it's still worth playing in this with a 10-7. We should be able to make so much food that we don't need to worry too much. Alright, that's a scary card. But we do have Feasting Troll King on 6. I guess we might want to Foreboding Fruit ourselves. And make a 7-7 Giant. And maybe just take a huge hit. Right, we might run to Baking the Pie, but we should have Feasting Troll King to follow up maybe. So I think it's worth risking it here. And just paying Adamant for the food. Drawing 2. And playing a Mereleaf... Ooh, and playing the Curious Pair, which can double block the Locked-Wing Paladin. I think that's even better than Mereleaf Rider. Then we can sacrifice the foods next turn to make a 7-7 Giant, or just play out the... yeah, make a 7-7 Giant, and eventually maybe get a Feasting Troll King out there. I think that's the way we win this. Otherwise, this is just going to keep getting in for a ton of damage, and we do need a blocker eventually against this. Because I don't think we can offset the life loss from this Paladin with the foods if it keeps hitting us. So I think the right play is actually to make a 7-7 next turn. And hopefully it doesn't have like bacon to a pie. Alright, with 2 of them we definitely need to do it now. So we gotta play out the Forest. Definitely Giant opportunity here. Yeah, we're definitely sacrificing 2 foods to make a 7-7. Maybe Mereleaf Rider can chump. But yeah. Yeah, maybe I just put Mereleaf Rider in front of the Garenbrig Paladin to chump. He could have bacon to pie. Okay, he has it. So we definitely need to chump a 5-5 this turn. Yeah, he should be getting them with both. It should be lethal. The Feasting Troll King can block one of them, but I'm still taking 5 again next turn. So I think we lost this. So I can actually see Insatiable Appetite being handy in this matchup. So do we just concede here? Like we can't play Feasting Troll King and activate it, so yeah, I think we just concede here. Alright. So maybe putting in the Insatiable Appetite here. Maybe we cut a 2-drop or something. Maybe Mereleaf Rider, I don't know. I think we need to cut something. But the opponent definitely showed us this game. Because we do need ways to deal with these Garenbrig Paladins, otherwise we're not going to get there. So I'd like the Giant opportunity since it can make a big guy. What do we cut? Maybe just the Broom. Maybe the Mereleaf Rider. Oh yeah, let's cut the Return to Nature. It doesn't seem good. We can put in the Insatiable Appetite. Don't need Fell the Pheasant, don't need this. Opponent's also playing black, so I can maybe see myself putting in the Spectre Shriek. Even though, I think I like the Spectre Shriek to maybe shoot down his bacon to a pie. Don't think I need Memory Theft. So what do we side out for the Spectre Shriek? Maybe just a Tempting Witch. I like the Wicked Guardian. I like the 4s. I like the 5s. I like the 6. Sporecap Spider can still be a fine blocker. Foreboding Fruit can still help us draw later. Yeah, maybe just take out the Tempting Witch. I mean, I guess I can just take out the Merreleaf Rider. Nah, let's take out the Tempting Witch. I think this should be okay. Let me last considerations. Yeah, let's try this. So now I know my opponent isn't mono green. He just got screwed in lands. We're definitely on the play. Tempting Witch on 3. We do need Trail of Crumbs on 2. We do have a Deathless Knight to follow up. We're on the play. Think this is still keepable. Just need a single green for Trail of Crumbs, so let's keep. Don't want to play against double Garenbreak Paladin again. So hopefully he doesn't have that going. Alright, Gingerbread Cabin. I think I have to play this out tapped. Then I can lead off with a Deathless Knight on turn 4. Alright, the Belder Pro. I think I'm setting in the Deathless Knight. Because I don't think I'm double blocking this. I mean, I could. Yeah, I think I'm fine trading 4 for 3. And I can play out the Bognati, and then the turn after I can activate Bognati to take out the Bell. That seems fine. Because I don't really want double block in face of a combat trick. And he's going to resolve a Garenbreak Paladin on turn 5, so I need to deal with that too. Reef Soul, I think I'm fine with that. And the Merreleaf Rider, okay. Bognati looks good here. Now, do I trade out the Deathless Knight? Yeah, I think I get in. We're kind of outracing the opponent with the life gain anyways. Ooh, I guess he can make a food, sack the Merreleaf, and trade it off for the Bognati. Okay, the Fierce Witch Stalker, sure. Yeah, I think he's going to go for it. I think it's... yeah, that's fine. Still results in the trade. Ooh, Feasting Troll King. Alright, that looks good. I think I send in the Deathless Knight. I could just also Forever Young. Huh. Yeah, I think I send in the Deathless Knight. Since I can just sacrifice food end of turn, fetch a force, and essentially play out the Feasting Troll King. So I think I like this. Play out the Trail of Crumbs. I mean, I could just sack now. Don't think I need a Forever Young anything. I mean, I already play out my land, so I'm going to do it end of turn. I could have essentially trade this off. I still take 2 trample. But I should be outracing the opponent if they are planning to stay back. If they're trying to outrace me. I mean, of course, you could play that Dreaded Paladin on 5, but I do have Troll King to follow up. So I don't mind taking the hits here. I should stabilize with a bit of life gain, so... it's probably the Paladin is going to come down. Right, no Paladins? Okay, I think I'm fine with this. Let's see how he responds. Probably has Bacon to apply, I assume. So he wants to use it after I gain life. No, he wants me to gain life first, and then he can fire it off the Bacon to Pie. Definitely taking Forest here, so I can cast Feasting Troll King. Ooh, the Cauldron. But I think we get in there for 7-4. I could keep this back. And I might, just in case he has bacon in the pie for Feasting Troll King. At least this can absorb 2 damage. I guess it can still trample over, but I don't really want to die, so yeah, maybe we can just stay back. Because it would be pretty bad if he takes out my Feasting Troll King and I don't have a blocker up and he uses a single pump spell and kills me. So I think it's right to keep back the Deathless Knight to essentially block off the Fierce Witchstalker. And I can play out the Cauldron now. He probably has a bake, because he's been holding priority. So he would need to bake this into a pie, kill off my Deathless Knight, and also have a giant pump spell to get in for lethal. Yeah, he probably has bake. But at least I can keep this 4-2 behind the blocker for the 4-4. Because a single 3 damage pump spell will just kill me here. So I do need that extra 2 toughness to trade off for the Fierce Witchstalker. Or block it, essentially. Or else we're dead. Probably has a removal here. Bake into a pie, or maybe just hovering it. Okay. I'm wondering why he didn't fire it off main phase. Okay, if he has insatiable appetite with the food, then I'm dead. Okay, Return to Nature. Nice. That's a nice play. But I still have life gain, but I'm fine trading this off. And I can just revive it back with the food. So what I can do here is I can play out land. Yeah, I can sack the food. Yep, pay 1. Draw the Occam Adversary, get back the... I mean, I could play defense here and just sacrifice the Cauldron and take out the Bell. Because with Insatiable Appetite with +5/+5, I'm pretty much dead. So yeah, maybe I just sack this. And we can Forever Young back the Bognati. Or the Tempting Witch. Like, I do have 8 mana, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 8 mana. So, yeah, but I don't want to miss a draw step, so I'll get back my Bognati, so I think this is fine. A Paladin would be pretty bad here. But I guess I can still play out the Bognati and activate it. Alright, Paladins. But I can still play out Bognati, I guess, and activate it, I suppose, to kind of deal with it. So let's make sure we tap our mana like civilized people. And I think I hold up mana here just so if he does have like a pump spell, I can block this and shrink this down. Okay, so he's sacrificing the food. So obviously he does. I don't think he has the pump spell for this. Might have something, but I think I'm gonna go for it if he attacks. So I can kind of force this to die, in a sense. I guess he's just passing turn. Okay, Bell. Okay, so I guess I can answer everything now. I can end the turn, just sack the food. Target down the Bell. And then I can activate Bognati twice to essentially kill off the Garenbreak Paladin. I think I like that. And I can also draw a card off the back of this. Another Swamp. And then we'll use it again. And this time I think I'm just going to decline the Trail of Crumbs, just so I can play out my Okame adversary. Okay, actually I didn't, so fuck. Yeah, I killed a green creature before it happened, so. Yeah, maybe it was a mistake. I should have. Okay, memory theft. Alright, sure. Opponent also has a pretty strong black-green deck. Insatiable Appetite isn't lethal, so I guess we'll just get in here, play our stuff. Alright, Tree Folk. But I guess I just send everything in, Appetite, and then GG. Pretty much, so let's go for it. Alright, sweet. Second game. So I think I'm going to upload a part 2 video since these games take a lot longer and I only have like 20 minutes left for my recording. I mean 15 minutes, and I don't think we have enough time for it. So let me just kind of rebuild this deck for a moment. Yeah, Insatiable Appetite for the Giant Opportunity seems good in this deck. Yeah, and I think 9/7 is the way to go. Just to hit our green for the most part, which we're looking to play more of. The black, not as much, but I don't think we've been having any problems so far. But I could just go 8, 9, 9/8 if I need to. But for the most part, yeah, the green is definitely outweighing the black. But let's kind of move everything to the side. Our interaction spells and whatnot to the side. Right, and this is kind of like their deck layout. So yeah, I'm gonna upload a part 2 video since the stream is about this video is about to end, and yeah, this is our powerful Golgari food stack. So see you guys in part 2.